Today I'm reviewing the Intimidator at Carowinds. This is a B&M hypercoaster, and it is a phenomenal ride. One of my favorites that I've ridden. I have 13 categories that I'll be reviewing this coaster on, and that is including an overall score that I'll give at the end of the video. In each of these categories, Intimidator can earn a maximum of 10 points each. Getting started, the first category is the duration of the ride, how long it is. Intimidator has a track length of 5,316 feet and a duration of about 2 minutes and 5 seconds. That's from when it leaves the station to when it hits the brake run. That's a fairly long duration, definitely above average, so I'm giving it a 7. It's not super long, but it's a pretty sizable ride. Next up is the speed. Intimidator hits its maximum speed at the bottom of the first drop, and that is 75 miles per hour. You're cruising. That's a pretty great speed. Intimidator's getting another 7. Next is the height of the coaster. Intimidator is 232 feet tall. It's the second tallest coaster in the park and one of the taller hypercoasters out there. Intimidator's getting an 8. Next is how smooth the ride is. If you like smooth coasters, then you're gonna love the Intimidator. It's getting a 10. Glossy smooth. No rattle, no shakiness. It also has very smooth transitions. That is why for the transitions category, it's getting another 10. Intimidator is mostly about airtime hills. However, it does have 1 or 2 banked turns, and it transitions into those elements very smoothly. Next up is how good the drop is. I mentioned the Intimidator is 232 feet tall. However, the drop is only 211 feet, and that drop is at a 74-degree angle. It's actually a pretty good drop. It's not a super long drop. It feels over pretty fast, but it's still fun. You're totally free-falling. I'm giving Intimidator an 8. Next up is how intense the ride is. I gotta be completely honest, this is not the most intense of coasters. You're spending most of the ride flying over these airtime hills. Intimidator's getting a 7. Next up is the airtime category. This is one of Intimidator's major strong points. There are a total of 7 airtime hills on this ride, and you're flying out of your seat in every single one of them. The entire ride is floater airtime. You aren't really getting any ejector on this ride. That's not what Intimidator is about, but is some very strong airtime. Intimidator's getting a 9 for that one. The only thing that could make it better is if there was some ejector airtime in it, but hey, that's okay that it doesn't have that. Next up is the theming. Intimidator is themed to Dale Earnhardt. He was the Intimidator. The theming you're getting is mostly in the plaza outside of the coaster. You have a replica of Dale Earnhardt's car, you have stats about him, and then when you actually get to the coaster, the front of the train looks like something from NASCAR. And then when you're in the station, there's a guy that says, "Gentlemen, start your engines." However, I personally am not a huge fan of the way he says it. It's not very motivational. It sounds like he's old and dying. The voice that goes over Intimidator 305's speaker is a lot more motivational and really gets you pumped up. So I kind of wish that they had the voice from Intimidator 305 over at Intimidator. Anyways, getting back to Intimidator at Carowinds. The theming is very brief. You aren't actually getting any theming during the ride. It's some very loose theming. I'm giving Intimidator a 4. In the final category before the overall score is the Restraints. Intimidator has your typical B&M clamshell lap bars. They're very open and very comfortable. Of course, what's weird about Intimidator is that it is one of the 3 B&M hypercoasters that has stadium seating. That means that you aren't getting the 4 seats across like you are on most coasters. You're getting first 2 seats in the middle, and then the next row is going to have 2 seats, 1 on each end. It's a very weird train configuration. But anyways, getting back to the restraint system, Intimidator's getting a 9. So now it's time for the overall score. This is not an average of all of the previous scores. This is strictly how much I like the ride. Intimidator is one of my favorite coasters. It's my favorite B&M hypercoaster that I've ridden. I love the airtime on it, and so I am giving Intimidator a 9.5. Absolutely great ride. I very much enjoyed Intimidator. I consider it almost as good as Fury 325. I do consider Fury 325 a hair better, but they are 2 completely different rides, so I won't be comparing them. This is all about Intimidator. I love how you're flying out of your seat on every single airtime hill. You pick up some great speed. Everything about this coaster is great, so congratulations to Intimidator at Carowinds.